when you put a team together full of guys that love competing and love winning, it's a good recipe for success.
That was Alex Bregman, third baseman of the hottest team in baseball, the Houston Astros, winners of 7 straight. Good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to the Fox 26 Sports Stream. As always, I'm Sal Manine, sports producer here at Fox 26. We appreciate you coming along for the ride. We do this every Monday night just after 7 o'clock. Several different ways you can find us, join in on the action. You can go to our Facebook page. You can go to our YouTube channel. You just search Fox 26 Houston on YouTube and you will find our channel. Just look for the big blue circle that says Fox 26. And then, of course, you can always find us on our homepage, fox26houston.com. We're going to get into a whole lot of baseball. We're 1 month in to the MLB regular season. The Astros, as I mentioned, winners of 7 in a row, got a day off today, and then they are hitting the road to take on Carlos Correa and the Minnesota Twins starting tomorrow. So we'll check in on the Astros. We'll also hear from the Houston Texans, who held a charity golf outing this morning at River Oaks Country Club as the offseason continues for the Texans. The NFL schedule will be unveiled Thursday night. We already know who the Texans are going to play. We know where those games are going to be held. We just don't know when exactly and in which order, where bye weeks are situated, all that kind of stuff. So we will get all those answers on Thursday. And then Thursday is also when the Texans rookies will report to NRG Stadium. And this weekend, they will begin their first rookie minicamp. So we will get into a little bit of Texans talk as things roll along here. But just another reminder, as always, if you want all the most up-to-the-minute news, updates, scores, sound bites, anything you want to know in the world of Houston sports, you have to make sure you are following our sports director, Mark Berman. You can find him on Twitter. He is at Mark Berman, Fox 26. All right, so I mentioned the Houston Astros 1 month into the season, and look what a good week at home can do, curing so many of the ails that the Astros were suffering from the last time we did all this. Going 7-0 at home for the first time in more than 30 years, and it has put them right up into a tie with the LA Angels in the loss column. They're just a half game back because LA has played one more game. But you see Houston with by far the least runs allowed in the division. And strange thing, when your guys are healthy and you have your full lineup, you can actually go out there and do some things and win some ball games. And that's exactly what the Astros did this past week, sweeping the Seattle Mariners, who a lot of people were wondering, what kind of threat were they going to be to the Astros, especially after Houston kind of stumbled out of the gate, having to deal with so many injuries and not having all their bats in the lineup at the same time, most notably Jose Altuve, who we'll talk about in a little moment. But Houston continues to do what they've done to the Mariners for a few years now, and they thoroughly dominated them. And you see that they, along with the Rangers and A's, are both below 500. So that's what the AL standings look like right now. And even if you look across the entire American League landscape, the Astros are slowly situating themselves right up there with the likes of the Yankees, the Angels, the White Sox, the Twins, that it really does look like Houston is once again, and I realize it's just 1 month in, Houston and the Yankees appear to be the early favorites for team to beat in the American League. And when you are the reigning AL champs, as the Astros are, you certainly earn that honor. Let's hear from Astros manager Dusty Baker on this hot streak that his team is on and winning back-to-back series, or I should say sweeping back-to-back series this past week at Minute Maid Park.
You know, the pitching that we've gotten, and because pitching is the name of the game, and you know, the guys are going deep into games. Our bullpen, you know, wasn't stretched out, you know, too badly, and these last 7 games. I mean, that was the last of the 17 in a row. So you know, we urged our guys to finish strong. You know, not think about the off day, you know, play through Sunday. And that's what stands out, just the way they battled and fought and won a lot of close games.
And you heard Dusty reference the pitching and the fact that the Astros had to play 17 straight games. They went with a 6-man rotation during that stretch, and all 6 of those pitchers towed the rubber during this 7-game homestand that the Astros swept. So we're talking Jake Odorizzi, Christian Javier, Justin Verlander, Jose Urquidy, Luis Garcia, and Framber Valdez. Those 6 pitchers combined for 45 2/3 innings over the last 7 games, only allowed 5 earned runs in that time. That is an ERA collectively of less than 1. And the only runs that the bullpen gave up during this 7-game win streak was Ryan Presley in his first game since coming off the injured list, gave up a game-tying home run in the 9th inning, and then Kyle Tucker was able to walk it off in the bottom half of the frame. But beyond that, the bullpen has been just as good as the starting rotation, and that's what has keyed the Astros, because is Dusty and a lot of people around baseball warned at the beginning of the season, because of the lockout, because of the very abridged and very ramped up spring training, it's going to take bats and timing a lot longer. It's going to take bats and offensive guys a lot longer to get their timing up to speed. And that's why kind of across baseball right now, you're not seeing the same offensive numbers that you might typically see a week into the regular season. But it's been the pitching staff that has buoyed the Astros. And oh, by the way, they're doing all this without their second best pitcher, Lance McCullers Jr., who is still on the 60-day injured list. He did give us a positive update yesterday. He was able to move back to 90 feet and throw from 90 feet away. So he says everything is still going well and is on schedule in terms of his rehab from off-season surgery. And so sometime this summer, the Astros will get him back into this rotation. But it's been the pitching staff and stellar defense, which obviously we've known for a few years now. The Astros have one of the best, if not the best, all-around team defense in Major League Baseball. They've carried them, as has the return of Jose Altuve, who I mentioned came back with a bang. It was this past 7 games since coming off the injured list, hitting over 400, getting on base more than half the time, slugging better than 800, OPS of 1,300. He also hit 3 homers and drove in 3 runs during this past week. So it's been Jose Altuve that has provided some stability and been the anchor in the middle of the lineup. And when you have at least him producing and you have a pitching staff that's been pitching as well as it has, that's a recipe for success, as you heard Alex Bregman allude to earlier. And I mentioned those 6 pitchers, and one of the names that possibly jumps out is Jake Odorizzi, who we all remember what happened last year when it became a point of contention that the team didn't want him to have to face the batting order a 3rd time. He was vocal about how he felt about that and his disagreement with it. Got off to a slow start this year. Through his first 3 starts of 2022, he had an ERA of 9, and now over the last 3 starts, he has lowered his ERA to less than 3.5. He's gone 3-0 in that span, including picking up the win yesterday in the home stand finale. Here's what Jake Odorizzi had to say about how well he's pitching and how well this team's playing.
What a homestand that was, 7-0. That's pretty. It's pretty darn impressive. So we're playing some pretty good ball right now. It's a lot easier to win when we limit the damage and limit the runs. If we're going like this as a staff, we're a pretty tough team to beat. So I'm happy with all of our guys' performances, bullpen starters. It's been a really cumulative success program for all of us. So it's nice to see. It's fun to watch.
So if the Astros are getting former All-Star Jake Odorizzi, and finally, now that he's almost 2 years removed from injury, if that is the guy that they are going to get the rest of the way, then just as we wondered at the beginning of the season, could Houston possibly have one of the best rotations in the league? And it's shaping up that way. And then at some point, they're going to add Lance McCullers Jr., a former All-Star, and everybody knows what he's done in the postseason. They will add him to that mix. Now, obviously, they still have a lot of room for improvement on the offensive side. You'd like to think that a lot of these veteran hitters, notably Yuli Gurriel, the reigning AL batting champ, will turn it around and eventually start to put up numbers that more closely resemble the back of the baseball card. But just as Jose Altuve carried the team offensively this past week, this first month of the season, one of the biggest revelations in baseball has been none other than Jeremy Peña, who leads all rookies in the majors in these categories: home runs, runs batted in, runs scored in both the Fangraphs and Baseball Prospectus WAR. He's right behind Mike Trout in terms of offensive wins above replacement. And Jeremy Peña has been as good, if not better, than advertised, and is a big reason why the Astros have found themselves tied with the Angels in the loss column atop the American League West standings. And he's caught the eye of everyone from his manager to his teammates. Here's what they had to say about the kid.
I mean, he's played well. He's played very well. And, I mean, Carlos will never be, forgotten, but we have to get away from and refrain from always referring to him being Carlos's, replacements of jobs. His for now, and he's doing a great job at it.
Oh my God, so good, so strong. Overall, I'm really happy the way he's playing because I said it before, he's a great kid. He wants to work hard, he wants to learn, and he's super talented.
How do you like the way he's handled things?
Good, like I said, he's really quiet. He seems like he knows how to control the game, everything outside the game, and very happy for him. We're all happy for him.
It's been incredible. I think he has the right mindset. I spoke to him early on in spring training, and it just seems like, he's very self-confident, but not in a cocky way. Just kind of like, I'm not here to replace Correa. I'm here to be me. And I was very impressed with how he just kind of embraced his role and didn't apply too much pressure to himself. And I think one of the things that a lot of great players do is you can't put any more pressure on me than I already put on myself to be successful. So whether you're replacing Correa or having your first opportunity at the big leagues, it seems like he expects himself to have success, and sometimes there's a way to will yourself to success, and that will suit him well. I've been very impressed with him.
We knew that the glove was there and was major league ready, even going back to last year. It was a matter of, can the bat catch up? And thus far it has. Now, the slash numbers haven't been ideal or what you would want, but again, he's still a rookie and he's still putting up enough production and is proven to be a valuable part of that lineup in terms of being able to get extra base hits, drive in runs. Obviously already has a walk-off in his young career and is not afraid of the moment. So is it sustainable over another 5 or 6 months? We will have to wait and see. But right now, I don't think you'll find anybody in Astros land who has anything negative to say about the start that Jeremy Peña has gotten off to. And as Dusty Baker said, we're at the juncture now where you no longer have to say he's the guy who replaced Correa. He's the guy who succeeded Carlos Correa. He's just the guy who is probably the leading candidate for Rookie of the Year, or at least one of the leading candidates for Rookie of the Year. It kind of reminds me of a few years ago when Derek Jeter retired for the Yankees, and I know that they are personas non grata in Houston, but just because it's the same position, you remember you have a franchise icon who plays shortstop and everybody goes, well, how do you follow up Derek Jeter in pinstripes? And Didi Gregorius had that same kind of mindset that you heard the Astros allude to about, I'm not here to replace anybody, to be the next Carlos Correa, just go out there and do my own thing. And it wasn't long before people forgot that, oh yeah, that's Derek Jeter's position. And it was, all right, Didi Gregorius can be a productive member of the Yankees at the top of their lineup. And now you're seeing that with Jeremy Peña, that we're at the point that you don't have to go, oh, well, he's filling in for Correa. He was the guy who is there because the Astros couldn't sign Correa. No, now he's the guy who is a productive member of your lineup and one of the best hitters in the Astros lineup right now. So again, Astros off today, then they start a 9-game road trip tomorrow, 3 in Minnesota. Carlos Correa unlikely to play in tomorrow's game, if not the whole series. He got hit on the hand a few days ago. The x-rays did come back negative. Initially, people were worried that he might have fractured or broken a bone in his hand, but that is not the case. So he intimated over the weekend that he's unlikely to play at least tomorrow, if not may need just a few days. So remains to be seen if he's actually going to face his former team, but you know he's going to be out there still slapping high fives and giving out plenty of hugs to his former teammates when they hit the Twin Cities tomorrow. Then it's a weekend set on the road at Washington, cellar dwellers in the NL East, and then they finish up the road trip with 3 at Fenway against the Red Sox, cellar dwellers in the American League East. So certainly a chance for the Stros to continue their hot play and continue to gain ground in the standings. And I would not be surprised at all if by the time they return home to Minute Maid, they are squarely alone atop the American League West. All right, so that does it for the baseball talk right now. But as I mentioned, the Texans are getting set for a very busy week, starting with the NFL schedule release on Thursday night. And then Friday is when they will hold their first practice of rookie minicamp. Just a reminder, this is what the Texans draft class looks like as far as some of the rookies who you will see there. Obviously, there's a slew of undrafted free agents who will be joining them, but the first round picks of Derek Stingley Jr. and Kenyon Green, Jalen Pitre from Baylor, who Lovie Smith had a lot to say about in terms of his versatility. We'll get to that in a moment. John Mechie from Alabama. Remember, he's recovering from ACL surgery, so he says it's not going to be until July that he will be a full go as far as all football activities, but his progression from ACL surgery is still going according to plan. Then Christian Harris at linebacker. Dameon Pierce, who I know I'm not the first one to say it, but I think we can safely say unless something has gone terribly wrong or there's some huge unexpected surprise, he is probably going to be running back 1 by the time this season ends for the Houston Texans. And then rounded things out with Thomas Booker, Tegan Quintoriano, the tight end out of Oregon State, and Austin Deculus. That's just the guys that were drafted. Now, with this morning's charity golf event, which was raising money for the Texans Charity Foundation that supports all kinds of children and folks in need in the city of Houston, General Manager Nick Caserio was asked about this draft class and the fact that so much externally seems to be put on it about these players need to hit. This needs to be a solid foundation for the Texans to build upon. And how does he feel about this class? And in that regard, is there any added pressure that these guys really have to deliver given the doldrums out of which the Texans are trying to dig themselves? Here's what Nick Caserio had to say.
To try to determine like what a role a rookie's going to play when they walk in a building is ridiculous because they haven't even been here. So I think we just got to start from square one, which come in a building, actually learn the people that are in the building that are actually going to help you become a better pro and a better player, and not worry about things that you can't control, which is about what your role is, who your game mirrors. I mean, honestly, it's disrespectful to other players that are in the league to start comparing yourself to players who've been in the league 4, 5, 6 years when quite frankly you haven't done anything. So I think the focus is on work, the focus is on getting better, and the focus is on learning our program and understanding the people in our building that can actually help make them a better pro.
And both Nick Caserio and head coach Lovie Smith reiterated that this first mini camp for the rookies is really going to be more of an orientation, just getting them used to this is the building, these are the coaches, the trainers, the staff with whom you'll be working, and this is how we like to do things, how we like to approach each day and each workout, each practice, etc. So you're not probably going to draw too many conclusions just based off of the first few practices we see, but then they'll start to slowly ramp things up as they hold more OTAs, and then later on in the summer we'll have their mandatory mini camp. But right now you can tell that Nick Caserio and Lovie Smith are trying to keep a very even-keeled approach with regards to their rookies, because yes, they do know that there is a lot riding on not just these rookies, but so many of the new faces that they brought in this year, even going back to last year, and then looking ahead that they're trying to basically start from scratch. That this was, given what the previous regime had done, this was almost like an expansion franchise in terms of trying to build out a roster, build out depth, and start to set the foundation for a team that can get back to the playoffs. Now, I mentioned Jalen Pitre, the second-round draft pick out of Baylor, local kid from Stafford High School. He was one of a few players who Lovie Smith got into a little bit detail with this morning before the charity golf outing. Here's what Lovie Smith had to say about what he sees for Jalen Pitre, who, don't be surprised if you are seeing a lot of him on the field very early on as a rookie.
You want players, especially at some positions, that can do multiple things. And he will start off at the safety position for us. I shouldn't say start off. He'll play the safety position for us, but can he play others? Yeah, he can play either safety, free other strong safety position, but he could play nickel also. We feel like his skill set says that, but what we're looking for in a safety, smart guy, without getting into one-to-lick tests and all that, but he'll grade out and test out as high as anybody around. Smart, football background with his family, and we think he'll be able to pick things up. And but from there, making plays. That's what he's done throughout his career.
And we talked a little bit about it last week after the draft, that Jalen Pitre is a guy who Baylor lined up all over the field. He took almost nearly half his same number of snaps lining up in the nickel than he did lining up in a traditional safety spot. But he's a guy who can come up and play against the run. He can play those underneath routes. He can drop back into coverage. He can also get into the backfield and make plays and cause disruptions. So that's why Lovie Smith was excited about that pick, and why already you're seeing, before he's even reported to rookie minicamp, that the Texans are hoping that they're getting the reigning Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, in terms of line him up all over and just let him go out there and wreak havoc as he was able to do in college. So again, the schedule release is Thursday night. So next week we can get into more detail once we know the actual order of the games and where the bye week is and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think that the 2022 Texans are necessarily going to shock the world and all of a sudden win 10, 11 games and be right in the thick of things. But you're just hoping that they continue to pass the eye test and that they can build on what was at times some positive momentum, especially the last half of 2021. And then you start looking ahead to, all right, when can this be a team that is talking playoffs and going after a division title once again? Because remember, it wasn't that long ago that teams like the Cincinnati Bengals, like the LA Rams, were themselves cellar dwellers and teams scratching their heads going, where's the talent? Where's the direction? What's going to happen? But you have a few good drafts and you stockpile some young talent, and then all of a sudden you catch a few breaks. You can lure some free agents, and now you're talking about some of the better teams in football. So we will keep things posted as they progress on the Texans front, and of course follow along with the Astros while they are on the road this week. Again, make sure you're following Mark Berman on Twitter for all the news and updates in the Houston sports scene. He is at Mark Berman Fox 26. And then make sure you join us again next Monday just after 7 o'clock. Facebook, our YouTube channel, Twitter, or our homepage, fox26houston.com. For all of us here at Fox 26, I'm Sal Manine. We'll see you again next Monday night, everyone. Take care.